Okay. I love you.
I believe I can fly. I believe I can touch the sky. Yeah. Hello. So we're back on the bike. It's a little bit warmer today, which is pretty cool. Oh. Might want to get that replaced, mate. I've just adjusted my pin lock, so hopefully I shouldn't be steaming up and keep this visor down. I'll throw a little video of how I did that up on screen, because I've spoken to a few people with pin locks and they didn't even know they were adjustable. It seems that the plastic of the pin lock itself, being really soft, gets compressed by the pins that are holding it in place, and periodically you're meant to rotate these little knobs indicated by the arrows, and they will tighten and restore that seal, which is good. Oh, fuel lights just come on. Something I want to have a chat about, because I was speaking to someone at work about this. Intensive courses when doing your motorcycle license. A lot of schools don't even offer these, because unlike driving a car, I don't think they're really best suited, and I think a lot of people have found that out. And I imagine there's been enough problems that, again, a lot of schools have decided not to do it. And I totally get it. There's a few reasons why. I think every motorbike rider can remember the first day that they did their CVT. On my CVT, what do you spend about 6 hours throwing the bike around? And I know the 125s, they're not very heavy. Riding the bike, unless you're like an avid cyclist, or you regular in a five-side football or whatever. Oh. I have come a long way. Yeah, straight in the winery. Oh, I wonder what's in there. Probably some sort of missile factory. I'm sure I've sort of BAE systems stuff around here. Yeah, so on my first day of my CVT, I was absolutely dying afterwards. Weird little muscle groups that you haven't worked for ages. That's absolutely wrecks you. Obviously buzzing, because it was the first time that I'd been on a bike in years. But also absolutely over the moon that I didn't decide to do a fast track course, like an intensive course. Yeah, it was totally physically draining. And on the evening, I remember being very glad that I didn't have to do it the next day. Something that I think's more important was the time that I was able to decompress, take in what I'd learned, spend some more time looking on the internet for tips and tricks. I think if I had to then do another lesson straight away, yeah, what you used to learn is going to be straight fresh in your mind. But I think those days that are usually scheduled between motorcycle lessons are really valuable, because you can have a look on the forums and see, like on Reddit and things, like Motor UK or wherever, the issues that you may be having, and people can give you some great tips. I think that time's super important. To just decompress a bit and get some lessons processed in your own head. And it really sets you up for the next time you're going to ride. Something that I found really handy of having that extra time was to take the things that my instructor told us and have a bit of a Google and see how other people were processing them. Watch some YouTube videos, see what other people's techniques are. If you've got a 125, which I think a lot of people do after they've done the CVT, or have it in prep for when they've done the CVT, is to set up a video camera somewhere nearby on a little industrial estate and practice those maneuvers that you've learned, and just see how you're doing, because oftentimes what looks like, what feels like you're doing something right, isn't always the case. and especially those sort of first few hours on the motorbike, everything's so much more extreme, the speed's more extreme. Say you're happy riding on the local 50 road on in your car, that same road on a motorbike, especially on those first few days, is so much different. You feel much more of a sense of speed of that happening, and then you feel like you're leaning across the bike much more. The same techniques about push to turn, I think a lot of people don't necessarily. Yeah, so that time to process is really, really important. I think having the ability to self-critique and learn from mistakes is obviously an invaluable skill. I think, like most people, I struggle with a bit of cockiness, especially if you've rode like a motorbike before, doing your CVT or going on a course. I think a part of you, if you don't hear exactly what you want to hear straight away, that you're the best person who's ever set foot on a bike before, you can get a little bit snarked. Or if an instructor accidentally makes a mistake, correct you on something that you're actually doing right, sometimes you can get in a bit of a huff. It's fine. You just, that extra time to digest these things can be important, is all I'm saying. Another one, I think this is probably, if there was a single reason to do it, it's this, and that's the scheduling. So you booked up, you do your CBT and you're straight on your intensive course. Fantastic, let's get this done in a week and a bit. Great, cool. So you got back to back morning and afternoon lessons. You've got back to back morning and afternoon lessons. Absolutely sound, you're over the moon. Cool. Yeah, I think it was on lesson 3 or 4. I got really dejected at one point because I was trying my best and just something wasn't quite clicking. And there was just a couple of mistakes I kept on making, just minor things, but enough to get you minors that obviously gives you a bit of stress. And if I didn't have time to decompress and try and learn, I imagine if I had to go back the same afternoon and the next day and the next day after that, if you start falling behind, that's going to be a real problem, because you're on the course, you're on for the ride. And I mean, some riding skills might be able to swap you about, but as far as I'm aware, you're pretty much stuck with being on the course once it's started, because most places need you to give a couple of days notice, or even a week up in some cases, if you want to cancel or rearrange lessons. So I think there's a good chance that some people might not be comfortable with the level that they're progressing and end up just having to be stuck with it. And then if that leads to a fail, then that's really not a great place to be, because you could have probably otherwise passed. Something very similar is you're doing your course and for some reason you fail your mod 1. Okay, well, you're just at the end, you haven't got anything more booked, because they do the mod 1 and 2 straight after each other. And I think you have to pay your deposits on your mod 2 and stuff in advance as well. So again, you're out of money, you're out of time, you're dejected, you're absolutely knackered and aching. And I think getting on a motorbike after that, if it was me anyway, I'd be miserable. Obviously, if you're doing these condensed courses, they're going to align you up with the same instructor, right? At least in some cases. Obviously, there's arguments that against everything what I'm saying. And there's cases where this isn't right. But you're on a course and the instructor's just an absolute, like, I don't use the bad words, but you know. And you're stuck with them for a week. I think one of the reasons on the third or fourth lesson, I wish I remember what it was that I couldn't get right, or kept on like getting pointed out for, but it was just this instructor was a bit of a tit. I wasn't a massive fan of him. I had another instructor who did, I'd say, 2/3 of my lessons, which was fantastic, and I look forward to every single lesson. But I had this other guy for a couple, I'm not going to name the school or anything else, who just, you know when you feel someone really doesn't like you and can't quite work out why. I'm a people pleaser, I like to be liked by everyone, I'll go out of my way to make you like me, but some people just aren't going to like you. But I had a bad experience, a couple of lessons, just on the instructor's vibes, and what I saw was a bit of like, not even nitpicking, but unclear instructions. I should probably say that I didn't actually do the condensed one. I'm just saying that why I definitely am glad that I didn't. I'd spoken with another lad who was paired with me throughout basically I think every single one of my lessons, and he had the exact same feeling from this other instructor. We just didn't gel very well, and if I was stuck with him for the full week, on top of feeling sore, on top of feeling that I'm not quite getting it when things are rushed, not being able to decompress, get advice from people on the internet, speak to other people, all those sort of things, I would have hated it. And obviously if you've got financial incentive to stay enrolled in a program, then yeah, cool, you're probably just going to do it, but the chances of you passing, I think, doesn't look brilliantly. I don't know, again, I could be wrong. And one of the other things is the confidence building aspect that you have. So those times when you have a little bit more extra time to decompress between lessons, analyse what you've done wrong, especially if you've got a 1, 2, 5, you can get out there and do practicing in industrial states, doing your figure of eights and getting comfortable with counter leaning, with those slow manoeuvres, and especially those slow speed ride, make sure you've got that dialed down, so just your overall confidence is really, really high. I think that's great, and I don't think you'll get that on an intense course. You're really going to see what the dropout rate of them courses is. It might be really low, I might be wrong, it might be just the hardcore people that do it, but I know I was really keen on getting it done pretty quickly, maybe booking a week off work, and it did tempt us.